Hi, everybody. This is Tony G from MusicLegacyInternational.com. Today on the podcast, we have Eric McElveen. He's the executive director of the New York State Blues Festival. So, Eric, welcome to the podcast. I've heard a lot of great stuff about what you're doing. We did have a short little phone conversation about some of the things that you've done in the past, and I'd like to share that with anybody that could possibly have any interest in becoming part of your festival, the New York State Blues Festival, and that would include sponsors, volunteers to help with the festival, and artists too. So tell us a little bit about what you do, and for those that are listening that may not be familiar with the festival.
Great, thank you. It's great to be on here, and appreciate you giving us some time. New York State Blues Festival is in Syracuse, and we're based out of Syracuse. And we are a nonprofit organization that's been in existence since 1992. And we hold an annual 3-day event at the New York State Fairgrounds, which is a really great facility right off of Route 690, which is right 81 and 90 cross. So it's really easy for people from all over the place to get to. But we're one of the largest free blues festivals in at least the Northeast, if not the country, because, of course, there's not a whole lot of free concerts anymore that are of a huge caliber. And so we're really proud of what we do there. And we have a mix of artists from a great local blues scene around Syracuse and central New York, as well as regional artists from New York State and throughout the Northeast. And, of course, great national artists from across the country. In the last few years, we had Buddy Guy as our headliner a couple years ago, and Little Feat last year, and Warren Haynes Band this year. In addition, we have a multitude of youth development programs, including a student blues band called Blues Ignition, a Blues in the Schools program for 4th and 5th graders, which we're now expanding into middle school, and a scholarship program where we give out 3 scholarships to young musicians who are pursuing blues and roots music.
Excellent. That's great. Yeah, that's one of the things that we're trying to support here is music, the artists. In our day and age right now, it's really difficult for the artists to make a decent living, especially with the streaming and a lot of the things that are going on in the industry. There's been some big changes over the past 20 years or so. So, so I'd imagine that a free festival, you depend a lot on sponsors for something like that. Is that true?
It certainly is, yes. Our event has grown quite a bit in the past decade, especially in the past 5 years. We've done pretty well, which makes us a little bit of an outlier because a lot of things have struggled since the pandemic. But because we're not a direct commercial venture, I think that's really what has been our benefit. So we do have a great support from sponsors, and we also have great support from grant programs through Onondaga County and New York State Arts, New York State Council on the Arts, which trickles down through CNY Arts in our neighborhood. But those are really great. We couldn't do it without the grant money and without the sponsor money. We make a little bit of money selling beer and wine at the event, and a little bit parking, a little bit on RVs. But we're doing our budget is close to $500,000 at this point, and so. A lot of things have got to add up in order to be able to do a free event for people, but it's such a great thing to be able to present where, because any of these artists, even the big national artists, if they come to town, they're playing to however many amount of people, at a theater or maybe a large club, or maybe some of them are going to larger venues than that, but not typically for the blues genre directly. But then we put them in front of a free audience, and we are seeing 7, 8, 9, 10 times as many people that would have showed up at their theater show. And so it's really great for artists because they're getting to reach more people. We're meeting an underserved community with the patrons because obviously they're showing that cost is something that is prohibitive from them being able to participate in the cultural events that are coming to town. And, with the Live Nation and all that, and it's certainly whatever Live Nation has their place in the world. But it's just not something that everybody can go to see the music that they are curious about, or they're maybe already fans of, or maybe they want to take their kids to introduce them to something different. And so, we really have a lot of a great intersection there. And then, of course, going back to the businesses, we're blessed with a lot of wonderful music fans in our community who have successful businesses and they want to support artistically and culturally what we do. And then, of course, there's the more commercial ones that, just want to get their name there associated with such a great event and reach locals as well as tourists.
Excellent. That's great. That's really great. So now, some of the other things that I think about when I think about a festival is logistics. So how do you go about preparing for things like rain, torturously hot weather, things like that?
Certainly, festivals, outdoor festivals are subject to all of those things that you mentioned, the weather conditions and all those challenges. And so a couple of different things in managing those logistics is being at the New York State Fairgrounds. We used to be in downtown Syracuse, and it was fun down there. There was this place called Clinton Square that we would be at, and it was, cement and pavement and in the middle of a city. And when it got hot, it got extra hot down there. And so one of the things that is a little bit better for us being at the New York State Fairgrounds is this place, Chevy Court, where we hold the event, has grass and trees. And so that helps with the climatic conditions a little bit in that regard. Also, the New York State Fairgrounds is a really great facility. They have a permanent building, permanent stage, and so we don't have to worry about it, blowing over or any wind damage in that regard to the staging or anything like that. We also have nice dressing rooms and so on in there. So that's a really great benefit to us to be able to utilize the infrastructure of that facility. As well, we've been going through a lot of constant training about, in communication with the crew from the fairgrounds, with emergency personnel from the 911 groups in the area, from the police and the ambulance and so on. And so we do all that planning ahead of time, and it's very involved, the health department included as well. And, but it's just a big part of, making sure that, we know how to deal with situations as they arise. And so it's just a sort of a constant part of the planning. But certainly that is the key, is the planning and knowing, how to deal with situations as they arise.
Yeah, the right people prepared in case something does happen. That's a great thing.
Yeah, exactly. We got great security crew. We got great first aid crew. We have great production manager. And, again, all those things tie in because we're able to get such good support and not be in a sort of austerity financial condition. We're able to hire the right people to do the right jobs too, which really matters.
That's great. That's great. So now what I usually do in my interviews is I try to bring people way back and tell us when you first had your interest in music and how it got you to where you were today, maybe just the stepping stones that brought you to where you are now.
Sure. So I've had an interest in, I'm really kind of living my dream job. And so I'm very grateful in that regard. I first started being interested in music festivals and concerts and cultural connections between all of it. When I was in middle school, I got sort of drafted by a teacher to take the place of the treasurer and student council. And because the person who had the position wasn't really keeping the books or something like that. And so I got drafted in by the math teacher and said, here, why don't you do this? He was also the advisor to the student council. And so I was doing that just a couple of months. And then the next thing you know, the student council was planning a dance. And so well, we need somebody to call the radio station to book the DJ who's going to come out and be the DJ for the dance. This is early 80s. So I ended up being the guy, made the call, booked the show, had the contract, dealt with all that stuff. I met the guy for the load-in. We got the PA set up. And, I was probably 12 years old at the time. And so that was my sort of first experience. A few years later, I was the guy helping, organize parties in the woods with my friends and so on. And, I also started working for local bands at the time. And I'd had an interest in festivals since, during those years as well. There was music festivals, a sort of batch of them that were around upstate New York in the late 70s and early 80s when I was too young to attend. And I would hear them advertised on the radio and always thought they sounded really fascinating. Of course, I'd seen the Woodstock movie on PBS and, was an instant fan of that. And but there really wasn't much happening when I was in high school in my early part of college years. And I became a Grateful Dead fan, started traveling around the country. Seeing shows with them was very fortunate to be able to go on some pretty good runs, a week, 2, 3 at the time, 4 at the time, around 89, 90, and 91. And so I learned a lot about culture and a lot about the United States doing that, met a huge groups of different diverse people. And then I was attending college and became an American history major. And I kept thinking about these ideas of festivals and how they were great cultural connectors and networking points and how they could, had the potential for that. And so I started doing these annual parties that I evolved into having live music, and then teamed up with a friend who had an old Christmas tree farm and started these festivals at a place called Snurling Stage in May of 1995. And I continue to do those as well. Those are like a grassroots jam bandy kind of thing. And so I've done over 100 festivals there in the past 30 years. And when I was about 20 years into it, 19 years into that, I was contacted by some folks from the New York State Blues Festival based in Syracuse. And my events were just north of Syracuse, maybe about 30, 40 miles or whatever. And so I was contacted by the New York State Blues Festival, and they were looking for some help. They'd been struggling with some challenges of how to evolve in their world following the recession times of 2008, when they'd struggled with some corporate sponsors and grant money hadn't really replaced it so much yet. And they were in a crunch and really not knowing how to move the organization forward. And so I saw it as a huge opportunity when I heard from them to step in and kind of take the reins a bit and give some direction to what was happening. And they're a great group of people on the board, and they had a lot of great business connections and stuff. So with our energies combined, we were able to set it back on track, and have really just been experiencing a nice steady growth for the past 10, 11 years. And I have a degree in American history, but I really was focused in American studies. So all these things about demographics and urban America and suburbs and rural America, and how about people move about, and reflections on American history and who played what parts in it and where things come from. These are all things I studied in formal education as well as informal education. And so to be able to be in the role that I'm in now, where that's, a constant conversation of what steps we're taking and how we're nurturing our organization and how we're communicating with our community, is just all right there at a sort of convergence point of things that I've been studying and working on for a long time. So I feel very blessed in that manner. It's not the highest paying job in the world, but I'm really happy to be able to work in this sort of cultural format.
And all those little things are just pieces of the puzzle that have come together to what you have now. And it's impressive to see what you've come up with, what you've brought it to, the level you've brought it to. Good job.
Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate it. And of course, I'm big on it really is people ask why has the New York State Blues Festival been going so long since 1992, 33, 34 years, whatever we're going on here. And I always say that, while of course it needs good direction, you need to have good leaders in the thing. But the reason it's gone on is because it's important to the community in our area. And we have the musicians that it's important to. We have the fans that want to back it up. And so that's really it. Despite all the passions and education that I have, it certainly wouldn't be happening without all of the rest of the community. And the volunteers, the sponsors, the board members, the musicians, the fan base, all of that, come in together. And so, I'm just, I feel lucky that I've been able to, be that conduction, the point of convergence there. But, I really just have to say that the bigger credit, larger credit really goes to the whole community.
It is a community effort. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely.
So now, how about tell us a little bit about the 2026 festival? I know that's going to be in June, right? It's usually mid-June.
Yes. Yes. So our 2026 New York State Blues Festival is June 11th, 12th, and 13th at the New York State Fairgrounds in Syracuse. And we're currently, plans are underway. We are shopping for our event headliner and everything else to plan and support. And we are searching for sponsors and working on our grant applications. Anyone who's interested in learning more about our sponsorship opportunities, nysbluesfest.com. There's a tab for sponsors. Just click on that. That'll give you all the information and the email that'll lead directly to me to pick up on that conversation with you. Any bands that are especially from New York State, Northeast area, we love to hear what you have going on. If you're playing blues and roots music, you can, there's an application, well, there's a contact form on there, but my direct email is nysblues@gmail.com. Please feel free to go ahead and send EPKs and any pertinent information if you'd like to be considered. And if you're a blues fan and looking for a great deal, Syracuse is a really wonderful place to visit. We put on an excellent event. There's an RV park there, so you have to pay for the RV park, but it's full hookups. And so if somebody wants to travel in their RV and come on up and stay right on site, it's a really awesome opportunity to be able to have a convenience of being right on, at the festival grounds. There's also, a lot of wonderful hotels in Syracuse and great restaurants, parks, and so on. So if you're from downstate, or any of the tri-state area, we're a quick drive up here, and it's a lot. We have a lot to offer musically, as well as just for the comfort of being able to travel in and out of the area. I often say to people that if you're to look at some of the larger events, Chicago Blues Fest or New Orleans Jazz Fest, obviously these things are unparalleled in the names that they have listed on their events. And but one of the things about those larger, really, really super large festivals is that they'll have multiple stages, and you can't really get around to all of them that easy. And so while the list of names is overwhelmingly awesome, you just can't really digest it all. It's something that is that big. And in addition, you want to be close to what's happening. You're going to need your reservations a year ahead of time, and it's probably going to be top tier pricing that you're going to experience to be involved and be that close. And with our event, we feel that we offer a great balance and a sort of medium in that regard, because it's at a level which is comfortable. We did a little over 16,000 people over the course of 3 days. Peak point, we probably had 8,000 people there. I expect it can continue to grow, and we still have lots of space. The facility there at the New York State Fairgrounds has had concerts where they've had 30 or 40,000 people there. So it's not like we don't have room for folks, and you can bring your lawn chairs. It's real comfortable. So I think we offer a lot there. It's fun shopping for the headliners and all that stuff and going through the bands. always an exciting time, and there's always so much great stuff to choose from that, we're really excited about having another great event. So mark your calendars, June 11th, 12th, and 13th, 2026 at the New York State Fairgrounds in Syracuse.
Excellent. Great. Sounds like a great event. And I would love to go up there this year. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll even try and get something together with some of the Music Legacy members where we can all meet there or something. That would be a great thing.
Yeah, that'd be great. We had a lot of folks from Albany come last year. They started organizing like some shuttle buses to come out. Like I think they were like a limo style bus where I think maybe they just came out on the Saturday for the Warren Haynes Band show. But it was really great, and then but Amtrak comes up to Syracuse real easy, and so that's a really great option for folks. Where their station is I'm not sure how you get over the fairgrounds exactly. There is buses, but I can't speak to what their schedules are always, whatever. But it's only the Amtrak is only you're 2 miles from pretty much everywhere in Syracuse, so if you were to get to take an Uber to a hotel or over to the fairgrounds or something, it's pretty easy to get around. It's not as overwhelming as like a major sprawling city. So
great.
It's very easy to navigate.
Fantastic. Now, is there anything else that you want the people who are attending to know, or the sponsors, or any other information you'd like to share about the event?
Let's see. Well, I think that, one of the things about our event that we're really proud of is that we're putting on a blues fest for everyone in the regards that it's not just a blues festival for blues aficionados. I think that sometimes the language of our cultural words, especially ones that have been with us a while, and for younger people, they're not sure what they are exactly. Maybe they have an idea in their head what blues means, or some sort of connotation of some kind of stereotypical genre that maybe they've heard or remembered, and they kind of think, well, that's old music, and maybe it's boring or whatever. I have a young daughter, and she likes to use the term with me at times, whatever, saying that's music from the 19s, Dad. But really, we have a great mix. We have, there's always going to be some traditional stuff like Chicago post-war type of blues. And part of this is education for people too. A lot of folks maybe they don't know what I'm talking about when I say that. And but that's sort of the beginning of the guitar-based drums bands, which is the basis for all of rock and roll that follows, for Hank Williams and country music and everything that follows. And so, it's important to kind of point these things out to people without it being some sort of heavy lesson, but just that's a time point when our culture, when the guitar amplifiers were in good enough shape where you could start to take them out, and as the stand-up basses started to transition over to electric bass, and a drum kit got so where it could be managed in a group where it wasn't too loud and drowning out the other instruments. And so, that marks an important time in blues, but that's only one of the things that we showcase. Like last year, we had this great artist from Georgia named Jontavius Willis, and he's primarily an acoustic artist, and he plays music, both traditionals and originals, that are in the style of pre-war country blues, and he's really magnificent about it. The guy's a great historian. He's a young man, mid-20s, and just a great educator of this rich cultural history, but also a great party leader. He had people dancing all over the place. And so, you're really getting, you're getting some cultural enlightenment, but at the same time, it's a party, and you're hanging out with your neighbors and friends, and you're meeting new people and all that stuff. And then we have newer groups like Southern Avenue played last year, which is really like a modern Memphis group, and that they heavily draw off of the funk and R&B scenes from the Memphis music culture, but they give it their own modern twist and feel, and so it's really exciting. And we have our Blues Ignition student band play. They kick off the day on Saturday, and so it's really great to see there as well, because we've got the kids up there playing, and then that starts the day. And then by the end of the day, you're getting, a top act like a Warren Haynes or Buddy Guy, to really, finish off the festival in a huge, big way.
Yeah, that's great. And, like you're saying with the blues, it all evolved. All this other music has evolved from that. And I've said it before, it's like the musicians of today need to know that they are coming up on the shoulders of these great old artists. One of the interviews I did prior is with a guy named Toby Walker, great blues guitarist. And he spent a summer, I believe it was when he was in college, traveling along the South and the whole blues belt and interviewing these artists that people had even forgot about, that weren't really strong blues followers. And he interviewed them, played with them. It's just a fantastic thing. So supporting the blues to me is an important thing. And it's one of the genres that I love, the blues.
And I appreciate you taking the time and giving me the opportunity to talk about our organization, our event. And I think it's very cool, all the stuff that you're doing, and I hope it continues to expand and grow for you as well.
Thanks so much, Eric. Great to have you with us.
All right. Thanks, Tony.
Good luck with the festival.
Music Legacy International.